risk of going back and reading old comics is they're not that good, or may not like them anymore, or even hate them. And something like Scud recently, I found that yeah, I didn't like it. And some bits I hated it. Comedy terrible. But I also just recently read. I actually finished it just an hour or two ago. Planetary by Warren Ellis and John Cassaday. It's still amazing. Actually, I think I appreciate it more now than I did when it was coming out because it was coming out so sporadic. But I remember looking for it's like, is this the last issue? It doesn't say to be continued. Issue just ended. It was the penultimate issue years and years ago. But it holds up. It only just holds up. It is, like I said, better than I originally remember. And if you've never read Planetary, it is a homage, a pastiche of basically everything pop culture for like really the past 100 years. Everything from Shadow, Lone Ranger, Superman, Batman, all the 80s Vertigo stuff, 90s and 80s Vertigo comics, pulp stuff, giant monster stuff, the American stuff, the giant ants, giant women. You got the uh, kaiju stuff from Japan. Everything you could possibly think of. Oh, there's references to Fu Manchu. There's references to Doc Savage. It is a fantastic display of art, and it is visually driven. That was one of the things I didn't really appreciate back then. I appreciate it, but not to the degree I do now. That is overloaded with dialogue. There is dialogue, there is characters, but visually, like whole pages sometimes will be nothing but characters emoting and or actions happening. It's very much where people will look at the Authority, the Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch run Authority, very cinematic, widescreen comics they called it. This is even more so. This almost feels like precursor to modern day streaming. But I think there's only like two or three. There's overlapping, uh, continuing stories, but there's only, I believe, one issue that's actually two issues that are actually like a two-parter, and that's the one with the Thing homage, pastiche, Jacob Green, and the Rendezvous with Rama, the Galactus kind of combination with it's actually a great concept, dead god inside of a giant tube, and it's the only real two part. There are, of course, threads that picked up, so you could just read. Oh, here's basically a Ghost Rider Hong Kong, uh, the Crow concept, like John Woo meets the Crow meets Ghost Rider, all mashed up together. Uh, and it's just fascinating to see the stuff work out the way it did, and there's a mystery to it all, but it's not this so too smart for you kind of thing. I truly appreciated it, and the omnibus, which I think I like got it for, it was like $60. I think it's still somewhere around that, and for as many issues as it is, John Cassidy firing on all cylinders. Honestly, it's my favorite work by him because he's able to stretch his muscles, and even though they're not all of them are not the official characters, you do get some. You do it in the comic. There were the Crossing Worlds collection. That's the three issues that are Planetary Authority, Planetary JLA, and then Planetary Batman. And you do see John Cassidy drawing Batman. You do see, but it's Jerry Ordway drawing Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and Phil Jimenez doing the Authority crossover. But it's such a fantastic, just work of art. Just to see John Cassidy doing everything, and I loved it. I'll probably read it again next year for a couple, maybe a year or two down the line. I'm keeping the omnibus around. It's one of the few that not only does it have it's a good dust jacket, but the interior at the hardcover itself looks great. It's aged. It looks supposed to, like the planetary books, the books featured in the comic itself. But it's a fantastic read, and if you've never read it, go give it a shot. And thank you for listening. Have yourself a good one.